I've been working since I was 16 years old. Over the years, I've had lots of jobs that aren't journalism, from food service to video stores, from an outdoors company to an auto shop that repaired race cars. Yes, really. And in this smorgasbord of a resume, I've learned that there are things about almost every job that you might not realize unless you had it yourself. Like, did you know that people call video stores to ask for help with movie-related clues to crossword puzzles? Or that running a bandana under the faucet, putting it in the freezer, and folding it around your neck still frozen solid is a decent way to beat the heat in a metal food truck in July? I live for learning these small, interesting details about people's day-to-day work lives. But I can't have every job, and neither can you. So we're left with the next closest thing. OPB's At Work With series. From the Gert Boyle Studio, I'm Jen Chavez, and this is The Evergreen, a podcast from OPB about the place you call home. This week, we're back with more At Work With stories, where we spend a day at work with Pacific Northwesterners with interesting jobs and ask them your questions about what it's like to do what they do. First up, I was very confused the first time I was walking through Willamette Park behind OPB's radio studios and heard the sound of screams echoing across the Willamette River. But I soon realized they weren't screams of horror, but screams of gleeful exhilaration, the kind of screams let out by roller coaster riders. Indeed, we're just across the way from Portland's historic Oaks Amusement Park.
It's beautiful. I think being on rides are an absolute sense of liberation.
This summer, OPB's Malia Fass went to visit ride operator and inspector Sean Strauss, who's made the delicious thrill of a good ride his whole job.
We are headed to the south end of the park where the larger rides are, most of them, and we're going to do our foreman inspection.
Sean Strauss is a ride foreman at Oaks Amusement Park in southeast Portland. That means he inspects rides and supervises staff at the park. I met Strauss in the main office of Oaks Park. He was donning rose-colored heart-shaped glasses at 10 a.m. when he arrived. Then he set off to inspect the rides in his quadrant for the day.
There are 3 inspections per day. There's maintenance inspection. They arrive at 5 a.m. We come at 10. And then the ride operators, after they've been given their ride assignment, will do their inspection.
Strauss is 50 years old, and he's worked at Oaks Park for the last 5 summer seasons. He starts his inspection at the Zero Gravity ride.
Oh, the Zero Gravity is very simple. It has a hydraulic lift. It's got beautiful spinny lights.
As part of his routine inspection, he checks the underbelly of the ride for missing parts. He walks up onto the ride and pulls on every lap belt to make sure they're intact. Then he starts up the Zero Gravity for a test run with no riders. It's kind of like a giant washing machine if the door was facing the sky. You get strapped into the inside of this cylinder, and it spins its riders so fast they become practically plastered to the inside wall. The machine then rises into the air and rotates to a near 90-degree angle to display the people inside the spinner to the people standing on the ground.
Makes a cool sound, doesn't it?
A voice in his earpiece tells him it's time for the once-a-day go-kart inspection. He walks through the park to the go-kart track and suavely slinks down into the seat, presses the gas, and rides each go-kart around the track once, stopping to fill it with fuel. He does this, might I add, completely cool and straight-faced, as if it's entirely just procedural and he's not ripping a go-kart around a track at a time when most people are having their morning coffee.
Well, that's got to be like the funnest part of your job, right?
It's in there. Yeah, no, I always look forward to that.
Strauss says he loves his job. He loves roller coasters and thrill rides, but not on a purely adventure-seeking basis. He loves the principle behind roller coasters.
It's beautiful. I think being on rides are an absolute sense of liberation. Being under the gravity and inertia of a giant piece of machinery meant to thrill you.
We stop and look at the atmosphere, where riders are strapped into a chair and swung on a pendulum back and forth for a few minutes. They gain speed and height until the riders are suspended completely upside down for a moment and then swing the other way.
This is my zen spot.
It's kind of contradictory to the screams we hear.
I think I've let my fear go. When I'm suspended on the atmosphere, I'm at absolute peace. And the more experience we have with something that makes us nervous or afraid, with a safe result, we can let go of fears a little bit at a time. I think that's a really wonderful human thing to do.
Now, it is the same atmosphere that made headlines last summer when it got stuck and suspended riders upside down 50 feet in the air for 25 minutes. I asked Sean about this.
Someday I would love to share my story about that, but for right now, for legal reasons, the contact for that information is Emily McKay.
I spoke with Emily McKay, who is the marketing and events director for Oaks Park. She told me that she couldn't say much about the event because the case is still pending litigation, but she did say it was determined that, quote, the occurrence was not the result of equipment failure or operator error, but rather a rare 1 in a million act of physics. Despite this, the atmosphere is still Strauss's favorite ride. He also just finds a lot of beauty in these rides, something I wouldn't ever stop and consider about a giant metal machine.
When you have machines that have an intended light design fluctuation, and then you put that in movement, and then you add the fact that there are people part of this ride, I'm pressed to think of something more beautiful. It's wonderful. It's like watching people dance. It's watching the wind in the trees. It is a spectacle to behold.
What might be less of a spectacle to behold is the inevitable churning combo of sugar, heat, and nonstop spinning rides that concoct what Strauss calls a protein spill, otherwise known as a vomit situation. He takes me over to a ride called the Spider.
How often do people puke on this thing?
I think it's daily or multiple times daily. It's 3 points of access, so you're rising and falling, spinning and rotating all at the same time. So if you've had maybe too much sugar, haven't hydrated enough, this one is definitely going to mess you up.
After he's done with his ride inspections and everyone has their ride assignments for the day, Strauss fills up jugs of ice water to deliver to the ride operators. He makes it a point to get the water to them before it hits 80 degrees outside, which on this day was before noon. In some ways, it's kind of a grueling summer job. Hot weather, thousands of visitors a day, cleaning up these so-called protein spills. But through Strauss's heart-shaped glasses, it's pure magic.
I think I found my place. Oaks Park gave me what I was looking for in terms of a place to really celebrate who I am while being in the presence of others who are celebrating their lives and their existence. There's an energy, there's a vibrance, there's a radiance. Here things are moving, there's color, motion, families, diversity. It's a combination of things that were important to me as a contributor to this city, this life.
From Oaks Amusement Park, I'm Malia Fass, OPB.
Coming up after a break, we'll meet another Oregonian whose job is focused on keeping riders safe. Stay with us. Thanks for listening to The Evergreen, our podcast from OPB about the place you call home. If you like what you hear, subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app, and we'll shed some light on the day-to-day lives of your neighbors with a new episode every Monday morning. You can also follow OPB on Instagram at OPB Photo, where you can find, among other things, nice videos about the people we interview for our At Work With series. Or follow me directly at Jen Chavez OPB. That's Jen with 2 N's, and I'll keep you posted on everything else Team Evergreen is up to. And remember, this episode about the different jobs that people do and all the great OPB reporting and storytelling you hear on this show is made possible by the support of many thousands of OPB members. You help us do our jobs, documenting life in the Pacific Northwest, and keep this public service free to access for everyone in our region. Support our journalism by becoming an OPB sustaining member today at opb.org/pod. And now, back to work. One of the things I love about At Work With is when we get to show our gratitude for people who, frankly, don't get enough credit for the important work they do. Everyday life marches forward, and we get so stuck in routines that sometimes I think we forget about just how many people dedicate their days to making sure everything runs smoothly. Like, say you're driving down the street and there's some construction. Maybe a lane's closed. Maybe there's a little traffic. With the way life rushes us around, people get impatient. It has the makings of a dangerous situation. But you reach the front of the line and there's a nice person in a vest and hard hat waving you through, working hard to keep construction workers, pedestrians, and motorists safe.
I understand it's frustrating to the people that live in this area. So I try to be as nice as possible, understanding they need to get through. If I can make it happen, just do so.
Well, today we're giving traffic flaggers their flowers. Earlier this year, Malia Fass hit the pavement to spend some time with one of them.
It's a warm, overcast day on 82nd Avenue in Portland. For summer, it's not too hot, but as a construction flagger in Oregon, Elizabeth Figueroa Alvarez has faced all kinds of extreme weather.
Some summers, I'll get so hot and I'll be like, I don't know why I have this job. Or wintertime, I'll be completely drenched. I'll change my clothes and then I'll still get soaked all the way to my bones where I'm so cold I can't even talk. And then I think, do I really need this job? And then I still show up to work.
Alvarez is wearing a neon green t-shirt and a white hard hat covered in stickers from different construction jobs. She's holding a paddle up to traffic, one of those signs that says stop on one side and slow on the other. Alvarez is a TCS, a traffic control supervisor.
They are doing new sidewalks. They're pouring it today, so they're doing all new sidewalks and new ADAs.
On this site, Alvarez is the only TCS, which means she really has to keep her head on a swivel. As they're laying sidewalks, a huge concrete truck backs in and out of the area, and Alvarez has to be ready to stop traffic at a moment's notice to accommodate the needs of the construction crew.
Are you pulling this way?
The job is also more customer service than one might expect. Alvarez manages traffic and pedestrians and has to keep her job and the safety of the crew in mind, as well as the safety and expectations of the drivers.
So I understand it's frustrating to the people that live in this area. So I try to be as nice as possible, understanding they need to get through. If I can make it happen, just do so. But yeah, we get screamed at, cussed at. They drive through our zones all day long, all the time.
She's also faced lots of dangerous situations on the job.
I was actually working right outside our office, and this guy was walking through, and I asked him very nicely, I was like, hey, do you mind walking on this side of the road? And he pulled a knife out, pointed it at me, and then cussed me out. I just couldn't believe that it happened. Yeah. So I didn't say anything. I just turned around and walked away, and then a few minutes later, I was like, oh my God, that really happened. He must have been having a really bad day or something.
He must have been having a really bad day or something. That's a good example of the approach that Alvarez takes to this job and her life. She gives people the benefit of the doubt.
I wasn't really down a good path in my life before I started flagging, so I know how it is.
Alvarez started flagging 4 years ago.
I had gotten to really abusive relationship, and then I had gotten pretty far into addiction and didn't really have my kids. I just didn't think I really had anything. And I was just living out of motels, actually right by where I'm working.
She had a court date and a turn-in date.
I was like, I'm gonna turn myself in because I know I can't get clean any other way. But I wanted to be clean because I knew the life that I was living, it was not me as a person. Everybody thought I was crazy too because I was like, 16 days till I go to jail, counting down the days. And when I got out of jail, I never went around the same people.
She got her first construction flagging job after getting out of jail.
I don't know. I honestly, when I was in my addiction, I just did not see a way out. I didn't see a light at the end of the tunnel. But I knew that the first step I had to do was to get clean. I don't think that I would be where I am today if I hadn't started working with COAT and started flagging.
It's pretty thankless work. In fact, Alvarez says that people say thank you to her so infrequently that when it happens, she thinks they're being sarcastic. But some people are kind. As we're standing at the site, a big bus drives by. Alvarez lights up and waves at the driver.
We always say hi and wave at each other.
His route used to be a different construction site that Alvarez worked on where he'd drive by, wave, and honk.
He ended up getting a different route, and then a couple years later, I'm back out here, and this is his new route. So
Alvarez says those kinds of interactions can make her day so much better.
So I always just try to just be nice to everybody, be kind. It's rough nowadays. A lot of people are going through some stuff, and you might not know it. So just always be kind to people. That's just how I am.
That story was by OPB's Malia Fass. Next up, these city slickers are hitting the road and moving out to Baker County. And don't get me wrong, I have lots of questions about what it's like to be a cow. But unfortunately, we don't speak cow. And as far as I know, at least, they don't speak human. So we found someone who does, and he spends enough time with cows to help out with rough translation.
What are they saying?
They're saying it's time to move, so they're letting the other cows know we're moving. And they, like that cow's probably going, okay, I've kind of misplaced my calf, where is he?
OPB Weekend Edition host Lillian Kerbake set out for the range to find out what it's like to be a rancher.
These are some of my cows.
Dean DeFries thought about becoming a veterinarian or a salesperson, but after college he ended up coming back to the Sumter Valley to continue ranching, just as his great-grandparents started when they arrived in a covered wagon 118 years ago.
So I'm fourth generation, and I've got 7 grandkids that kind of are around. That'll be 6th generation.
The DeFries Ranch is located about 25 miles outside of Baker City in eastern Oregon. It's at 4,200 feet in elevation, so the weather is extreme and the options for crops are limited.
The only thing we can really grow here is grass. My wife tried for 40 years trying to grow a tomato and never could get it done because we can frost any day of the year up here. We had our last frost, we had a frost on August 8th this year, which is, crazy.
DeFries runs what's called a rotational grazing system.
So we move these cattle every morning. So we just opened a gate and let them through this morning into a fresh pasture for the day.
The cows get a new salad bar almost every morning, moving between the 52 different fields, and it gives the grass a chance to rest in between.
What are they saying?
They're saying it's time to move, so they're letting the other cows know we're moving. And they, like that cow's probably going, okay, I've kind of misplaced my calf, where is he?
Sometimes the cows need a little encouragement. That's where Chuck comes in, though he's still learning his job.
Down.
On this day, the cows will stay in the fresh pasture just until tomorrow morning. Then the routine starts again. This rhythm of moving cattle shapes the whole year. Ranch life here runs on the seasons, each with its own chores, challenges, and rewards.
So we really have the 4 seasons for sure. Summer we irrigate, move the cattle daily, get our hay supply in for the winter.
Fall is all about preparation.
Fall we'll do a lot more fence maintenance. We'll get in my firewood for the winter. We'll do some work in the forest. We'll work the cattle, get them vaccinated before winter.
And when winter sets in, the work doesn't stop.
Yeah, in the winter, we'll spend the morning feeding cows. A lot of people start calving in February and March. In my environment, it's much easier for me to calve in April and May because I figured out 90% of my calving issues were weather-related.
When the cows give birth, it's one of the busiest and most rewarding parts of the work.
Make sure that no birthing problems, make sure the calf gets up and nurses in a timely manner.
It's labor-intensive and heartwarming.
Oh, well, I love calving season where everything's going right, and the little baby calves are a lot of fun.
And when everything's not going right, you have to know how to fix it.
You have to be kind of a jack of all trades. You have to be a businessman. You have to be a mechanic, fix fence, no cattle, no grass, no soil health, no irrigation,
It's not all playing cowboy. There's a lot of paperwork. Plus, these days, there's even an app for tracking your cows.
So I have an app on my phone that's a pasture maps. And so so it comes up on a map here where we are. I'll go to that, the pasture name. I want to go to movement records and add.
DeFries loves to talk about ranching, but one thing that's considered impolite is to ask any rancher how many cows or acreage they have.
Cattlemen bristle a little bit about that question, yeah. It's basically asking what your net worth is.
Ranching isn't a business you just wander into. The profits vary by breed and market, but the amount of land required for a herd that can actually support a living doesn't come cheap. There's some government loans available, but most ranchers end up in the business because they inherit. And that's part of why the beef might be aging, but so are the ranchers.
The average age of the cattleman, I think I read the other day, is 66 years old. It's just very difficult if you're not born into it.
DeFries hopes his kids decide to take over the ranch, but when they were growing up in the 80s and 90s, the cattle industry was so bad, he told them to have a backup plan. One is a doctor, one a nonprofit director, and the other a school teacher. All three are somewhat interested in taking over the ranch.
You know, there's ups and downs, pros and cons, but a lot of people today don't want to work 6.5 or 7 days a week, 10 hours a day, and, you know, not make a lot of money, so.
But Dean DeFries thinks it's worth it.
You know, most days I have a good day because I'm my own boss. If I'm getting tired of fixing fence or whatever, I can go do something else because there's always something to do.
There's always work to do.
Yeah, I'm tired of doing this. Let's go do something else. Yeah.
For OPB, I'm Lillian Kerbake.
Well, thanks for joining us for the latest roundup from OPB's At Work With series, a collaboration between OPB's Weekend Edition and your friends here at The Evergreen. We are always open to new ideas for interesting jobs or volunteer positions that we can get curious about next. If you've got a suggestion, send it on over to theevergreen@opb.org, and we might add it to our list. Thanks for listening to The Evergreen, our podcast about the place you call home. Malia Fass, Lillian Kerbake, and I produced this episode. Our technical director is Stephen Cray. Layla Isbell mixed, mastered, and scored the episode. The OPB podcast team also includes Mia Estrada, Julie Sabatier, and Sage Van Wing. The music in this episode is from Audio Network. And hey, if you've ever got a question for us, please reach out. That email again is theevergreen@opb.org. I'm Jen Chavez. Catch you later.
I think that was the same one.